Hi guys, recently I came across one blog on HackerRank and I found it very interesting. I thought I'll share with you guys. Uh, this blog was related to the personal workflow one person like developed through his experience, and he wanted to share with all of us. So he written one blog, and I read this blog and I found it interesting. I thought you guys might get benefited from uh, going through the workflow and at least try to understand so that you can pick some hints from the workflow to incorporate in your daily life. So this author is using Cloud Code for more than 9 months, and he wanted to he developed one uh, workflow for himself, and he thought it it is useful to share with us. So, uh, author has divided or explained his workflow in three phases. First is the research, planning, and then implementation. Uh, and in each phase, he adds some interaction with Claude Code and uh, develop some kind of understanding so that next step get concrete while development. So in the first phase, author has mentioned he do a research. What a research mean? If, for example, if your organization have one service or if your team owns one service, notifications service, and you want to make changes related to an endpoint where people push the notification, and your task is related to tweaking the endpoint. So what you can do, you can write a prompt to analyze and research about that particular endpoint and a related component, and I ask it to write into a markdown file, which we call it, which we can call it as a research.emd file. Uh, how it helps? It helps to understand as a prompter what actual research the Claude Code did and what kind of assumption he have. So author has also mentioned some sample prompt he generally gives like this. Read this folder in depth, understand how it works deeply and what it does and all its specificities. When that done, write a detailed report of your learning and finding in research.emd file. Study notification system in great details and understand the intrinsic of its and write a detailed research.emd document with everything there is to know about how notification work. Go through the task scheduling flow, understand it deeply, and look for potential bug. There definitely are bugs in the system as it sometimes run tasks that should have been cancelled. Keep researching the flow until you find all the bugs. Don't stop until all the bugs are found. When you are done, write a detailed report of your findings in research.md file. So if you see these prompts closely, the language used by author is deeply in great details, go through everything. What it helps is to remove the assumption of agent to scheme the endpoint and don't go into the intrinsic details. So models or agents are developed in a way that they need to be efficiently answer the questions, don't getting too much into their own thought process and complexities they are having while developing a content. So uh, I incorporate this in my work, and I really found it interesting in a sense of agent is able to get all the context as well as when I read the research.md file, helps me to develop a system level understanding and catch some missing points or correct Claude code at any point of a time. Then author explains about the planning phase, the phase where author explains what exactly he want to achieve. For example, I want to build a new feature XYZ that extend the system to perform this. Write a detailed plan.md document outlining how to implement this, including code snippet. List endpoint The list endpoint should support cursor based pagination instead of offset. Write a detailed plan.md for how to achieve this. Write a source file before suggesting changes. Plan the base the plan on actual code. Uh, so it uh, helps in writing down the plan in a plan.md file. Uh, and if you see that he also mentioned that code snippet. Why? Because it will help you to see high level approach that agent want to develop. And the annotation cycle, which author has mentioned. So once the plan is ready, we can directly view the plan, and there might be multiple approaches given by agent. We can directly write inline comments like I found this approach irrelevant, or I found this lazy initialization irrelevant. Instead of that, we can directly pass the parameter. Lazy initialization don't think is a correct implementation in this context. So this kind of a in uh, inline comments help us to uh, uh, give a feedback in a single para. Same thing if you are same thing if you are doing on a command line, then we might have had got issue related to pointing out to a different approaches, different lines, and pointing out that there is a change as a pointer I needed. So it helps us to articulate all the comments in a single document, and it's create an artifact that can be shared between me and Claude Code. And yeah, why this work? As I said, there is a mutable state shared between agent and developer. Then once the plan is ready, I author generally asked to create a to-do list, and once the to-do list is there, he just asks us to implement it, like for implement it. Don't ask for any suggestions. So if you see the prompt he generally gives, implement it all. When you are done with a task or phase, mark it as complete in the plan document. Do not stop until all tasks and phases are completed. Do not add unnecessary commands or Java doc. Do not use any or unknown type. Continuously run type check to make sure you are not introducing new issues. So if you see closely the language, implement it all, mark it completed in the plan document, do not stop until all tasks and phrases are completed. So I think these are some of the keywords we can incorporate into our workflow as well, and they might be really helpful. And author mentioned about the feedback during implementation. So once there we got implementation, we can tweak the particular code snippet, like we can give a link of some code snippet we want to implement at that place or want to tweak, and we can anytime tweak the implementation once the implementation is done. And that will help us a lot, because the tweaks we are doing are granular tweak, and granular changes are always are done good by Cloud Code. I would say. Mhm. Okay, I would say. Yeah. And yeah, of course, he also uh, dri- he also shared one analogy where developer is always in a driver's seat, where he is driving all the phases of a development, like while implementing something, thinking over the approach, then evaluating that approach. And once the approach is there, we share some feedback on the approach. And about the single long session, creating a research.md file or plan.md file help us to keep track of all the context we had, because in compaction we lose some context, and a research.md file and plan.md file always helps. And he has given the workflow in summary. But I think this was an interesting uh, article, and I think you should check it out. I highly recommend it. And yeah, thanks for watching this. And yeah, bye.